college students, one of the most common reading purposes is research. They are often asked to find information to answer a question or support an argument. Keeping track of useful information when performing a longer research project can be challenging. Using research reading logs to organize your notes can save you lots of time and headaches in the long run, and can also help you manage your time when working on a big project. A research reading log is a note-taking technique that is useful for research projects or any essays that require text evidence. They are usually made up of 3 or 4 sections that will house information you will need when writing your essay. They're also helpful for organizing research notes and processing information from those notes. They work best as a second read-through tool. Lots of students will highlight important information in a research article the first time they read, but they don't always stop to think about this information. Going back through the highlighted text and copying it into a research reading log will help you to select important information to share with your reader that will support or explain the point your essay is making. For this assignment, we'll begin by clicking on the link to open the research reading log document. I'm using Mozilla Firefox as a browser, so it might look slightly different from yours. I want to save the document to my Google Drive so that I can make a copy of it and then edit it. Now I'm going to open my MySBC Google Drive and find the document. I opened the document, and I want to open it with Google Docs so that I can edit it. Now when I first open this, I see an option to request edit access. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to change the original. Instead, I'm going to the File button and I'm going to click on Make a Copy. I'm also going to change the name of it so that it matches the name of the assignment that I'm doing, so that I don't get mixed up when I'm trying to turn in the assignment. I have a folder that I'm using just for this research project to help me keep track of all of my documents. It's a good practice to keep you organized. Next, I'm going back to my Google Drive to open one of the research articles that I already saved in there from the Happiness Research module on Canvas. Now, you can either just read it here or you can open it in Google Docs. Google Docs won't always translate a PDF perfectly, so you're just going to have to use your judgment on that, what's easier. I like to open it in Google Docs if I can, because then I can go through and do my highlighting and add my notes, and it keeps them all. So first I need to get the authors' names. I'm just going to copy and paste those directly out of the article, which I can easily do if it's in Google Docs, over into my research reading log. And I noticed there are numbers next to the authors' names. I look down at the bottom of the page and I see that this is just telling me where the authors work, what universities they're associated with. So it tells me a little bit more about who they are as experts in this field. Next, I'm going to grab the date and pull that over here. Now I need the title. And I'm finding I've got too many tabs open, so I'm going to close the ones that I'm not using right now so that I don't accidentally click on the wrong ones when I'm trying to go between different tabs to do this work. Now I have the title. Now I'm looking for the name of the magazine, journal, or book that published it. Usually you can find that either at the top of the page or on the title page for the article. I see here J. Happiness Stud, and I remember from looking at the original record in the library that it was the Journal of Happiness Studies. So usually if you see a J, it stands for journal. So I'm just going to finish that out. And if you're not sure, you can always go back and look at the original record in the library as well. So next we're looking for page numbers, volume numbers, and issue, if they have such things. So usually the volume number will come immediately after the date in the citation at the top. Sometimes it'll say V or VOL. In this one it doesn't, it's just a number. So I'm copying that over and I'm looking back, and an issue would come right after the volume. And since there is not an issue number there, I'm just going to copy the page numbers, which come next in that sequence there. And then finally, I'm going to go back and look for either a URL or a DOI. A DOI is a digital object identifier number, and it's just a unique number that all academic journal articles or other documents of academic significance that are housed online have, so that they're easier to locate and cite in your research. Next, I'm going to answer the questions posed in section 2. The first question is easy for this article because it's part of the article title. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it down there. I've already read through the article once and taken notes and highlighted important information, including definitions of key terms, information about how the study was conducted, and the findings of the study. So I'm going to go back to the abstract where the writers have provided their conclusion, and then reread their conclusion and come up with a way to put that into my own words so that I know that I have understood what I read. Next, I'm going to start filling in part 3, but I noticed that I'm having trouble with the formatting on the page, so I'm going to go up here to View, and I'm going to change it so that it's no longer on print layout. I'm just going to turn that off. And now the divides between the pages are not so obvious. And we don't really need the divides between the pages anyway because this is an electronic document. We're not going to print it out, so it doesn't really matter. As you can see, I've already highlighted a number of different sections of this article the first time I read through it. So now the trick is going to be deciding which ones are important enough to transfer over into my research reading log to think about a little bit further. I'm going to start with this line from the abstract that houses the conclusion because that's probably going to be the most important information. It's basically the main idea of the entire article. So I'm going to take the highlighting off of it and I'm going to put it in quotation marks to show that this is the exact wording from the original document. And so now I have a direct quote. I need a citation for it, which is going to be the author's last names and the year that it was published and the page that it comes from, if there are page numbers associated with it. Next, I'm going to paraphrase it, which means I'm going to put it into my own words without using the same sentence structure or the same language that the author used. Part of that is so that I can avoid plagiarism, but most of it is so that I can make sure that I really understand what it says in the quote. Translating it into my own language will help me to ensure that I have comprehended it correctly. Next, I'm going to write out a couple of questions or responses that I have to this quote. Doing this will help me to choose other quotes from the article that might be useful for understanding the overall argument being made or research being done, and will also help me to figure out what more information I'm going to need to be able to write my paper and answer some of these questions. I also just noticed that I don't have a page number here, so I need to go back to the article and figure out what page I'm on. If you can't find page numbers in the document after you've converted it into a Google Doc, you might have to go back and look at the original PDF of the document to help you find those numbers. They're usually at the top or the bottom of the page, but sometimes that gets mixed up when you convert it into a Google Doc. And now I'm all finished. I have parts 1 and 2 completely filled out. I have at least 5 quotes in part 3 along with their citations and my paraphrases and my questions and thoughts about those parts of the text. And then I also have filled out the next steps down below, things that I want to learn more about, and that will help me choose which articles to read next and decide if I need to go back into the Happiness Research Library and choose different articles to help me complete my research for the paper. Now I'm ready to turn in my assignment. Thanks for watching.